Hey, what do you say? Welcome to Just Rocking with You. I am Chris Swisher, alongside with my good buddy Ryan Hayes, and today we are spotlighting Michael McGettigan from the University of Tennessee. We're going coast to coast. We're in
Yeah, we
Charleston,
are.
South Carolina, and Michael is out on Southern Cal. So I think his waves are a lot better than ours here on the East Coast, but we'll let bragging rights settle themselves out. But you boys ready to just jump in here and get ready to get going?
Ruck, yeah.
Rock, yeah.
Yeah, you rock, yeah, baby. All right, hey, Michael, real quick, if you don't mind, give us a quick introduction to yourself, who you are, where you're from.
Of course, yeah. First and foremost, appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome. Love what you guys are doing. My name is Michael McGettigan. I am a senior in sports management major at the University of Tennessee, currently playing at center at the University of Tennessee, initially from Orange County, California, where I am right now. But yeah, love to get started.
Love it. All right. Well, I think that's a perfect way that we just segue right into the question. So I think the number one question that gets asked a lot, or people wonder, is like, how did you find rugby? How did you get into it?
Yeah, great question. So it started, my first season was in sixth grade, but it was a little bit wishy-washy. I only played the seventh season, and my dad had he had coached soccer for my sisters, and the assistant coach, whose daughter was also on the team, he was from New Zealand initially. His name is Jeremy Green, one of the best coaches I've ever had, hands down. But I was playing tackle football at the time, and he told me, hey, come out and play rugby. Went to the first practice, told my mom I'm going to die playing this game. She was all excited about that. And then I ended up starting to get into some tournaments, and then we went from there.
I'm curious. So did you play other sports, or did you always just focus on rugby? So you played tackle football. Did you continue playing?
Yeah, well, so I mean, growing up, kind of like the majority of kids, I was football, baseball, soccer, any sport I could get my hands on. In high school, I pivoted and I stopped playing football and I just started to wrestle along with rugby, which I honestly think those two went real hand in hand with tackles and leverage and whatnot. So that was kind of the extent of that high school career, and then college ultimately decided, okay, we're gonna go all the way with rugby.
Yeah. So all right. So when you were in high school, did your school have a team, or did you play for clubs, or how did that work?
Yeah, so in Southern California, which it kind of has propelled within the past, I don't know, 5 years or so, and a big rugby station in the world. Um, we had this big club that incorporated all the schools in the Southern California area, the SOC Raptors. On top of that, which that's where I spent most of my time. On top of that, we started at my school, Tesoro High School. We started this club early on. It was a little bit shaky because it was during COVID. Um, I'm not sure what the status of that club is right now, but SOC Raptors are still going strong. They've repetitively gone to the national championship, whether that's in Elkhart, Indiana, or Ohio, I think sometimes.
Yeah. Kind of bounces back and forth. I think that's cool, man. So you've played some rugby kind of all over the place. You played in some big games. We've been fortunate enough to watch you and play in some big games. What's the most memorable moment on the pitch for you thus far?
Not trying to be too cheesy, but I hope that memorable moment hasn't happened yet. I we will play December 6th in front of our home crowd in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm expecting some memorable moments going on there, and then granted we win that game, we'd be in Houston December 13th. So with that being said, I'm hoping that hasn't happened yet. However, going back to coming off an SEC championship just a couple weeks ago, great moments. I've had some incredible moments just playing alongside my buddies in high school and in Elkhart, Indiana for those national tournaments. Yeah, I will say that I'm just hoping that most memorable moment hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to cap it off.
Put
Senior
the
Yeah,
beer in
year.
front of the
senior
camera.
year,
Holy cow.
it would be a
Yeah,
nice little story.
well, hey, maybe just a quick interjection. I think that championship was your first time playing after about 50 to 60 days with a head injury. Tell us a little bit about what that was like for you getting back on the pitch with your boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think, which we might discuss later on, but one thing that people don't talk about with rugby is that rugby is such a tough sport, both mentally and physically. And one of the hardest parts about that, honestly, is the injuries. And I think rugby is statistically safer than a game like football. However, the injuries still do happen. It's a combat sport. My my coach Scott Tunge, he says rugby's not just a contact sport, it's a blood sport. That's because it's constantly violent. And so injuries are going to happen. And being sidelined for that long definitely does take a toll on your mental health. You're in my opinion, the hardest part about rugby is being off the field, because then it all goes back to reality. You're like, oh man, I really, how far can I take rugby realistically? Is there money in it? Is there like the facilities in order to take this to the next level? At this point in the US, realistically, it's tough to come by. So you have to realize, okay, there is stuff outside of rugby, and that's hard to think about. But then when it comes to injuries, being on the sideline, your mindset switches a little bit. You're like, especially being a senior, okay, if I can't make an impact on the field, how can I make an impact off the field or to the guys that are playing? I think that I've been incredibly blessed with the coaches that have been around me. Earlier on into the year, right when I got that head injury against Georgia, I was on the phone with one of my coaches, and he basically talked me all through it. Shout out Sammy Anderson, our backs coach, and just how you do have to pivot that mindset, because if you just totally distance yourself from the sport after an injury, that doesn't turn out too well. But yeah, no, I've been super fortunate, especially with my centers group. I have my little on the team. We have bigs and littles. My little is Nico Zaharis, who has stepped into that center position and totally fulfilled that gap. And then also my buddy Gabe O'Reilly, who he's our foreign exchange student right now at the University of Tennessee just for the year. He's actually staying with me. He's in Southern California right now. He's downstairs talking to my sisters, my parents, and my dogs, hopefully.
I love what you said, man. You know, it's a combat sport. It's tough,
Right.
man. Yeah, injuries are going to happen in any sport, but for as physical and as rough as rugby is, the lack of injuries is pretty impressive. And those are the rules that are put in place to make sure that it is as safe as possible. And the fact, in my opinion, you're not wearing pads. And you
Exactly.
recognize that, dude. If I go in head first, I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah, you're realizing, okay, yeah, we're constantly hitting each other, but we have enough brain cells left to realize, okay, if you hit your head, it's gonna hurt you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've mentioned a couple of things that I want to hit on. You've mentioned now 3 different coaches. So who's been your most influential in you playing rugby, like in your career?
Yeah,
Put you on the spot a little bit.
definitely. However, I feel like props to the whole University of Tennessee coaching staff. Stephen Harris, insanely defensive-minded coach, played at UT, had that whole culture, understands what it takes to build a championship team. When they went in 2021 and won it. Scott Tungay, who grew up in South Africa, came on over here, coached at UK for a little bit, came over to Tennessee, has really made an impact. This is his 4th year here, so we kind of grew together, meaning this is his first squad that it's totally his play style, his game plan, and his players, the ones that he recruited. So it's special on that front. Sammy Anderson, in middle school and high school, I was a forward. I did not know how to pass the ball. I was strictly hitting people, running lines. Sammy Anderson definitely touched up all those skills. And then you just have hype guys like Matt Noss and Micah Weldon. And then the legend at the University of Tennessee, Butch Robertson. I know they just shouted out the entire coaching staff at Tennessee, but then going back to high school and middle school, I had Sam McMillan, who just, oh my gosh, you talk about a guy that knows rugby. He's now coaching at UCLA, but still running the program with the SOC Raptors. And then Jeremy Green, along with Lawrence Lazinski, were my 2 first ever coaches. So they instilled that love of the game into me.
It's amazing how many people just give back to the game that have played it and what it's done for them and how they give back.
Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about the game, that no matter, you think about an alumni from a college, like if somebody went to the University of Tennessee, they look back at me, they look at my resume, they're like, oh, this is a fellow volunteer, I want to help out. Same thing with Clemson or Kentucky or whatever. With rugby, it's that whole same idea where, oh, this guy played rugby, let me help him out.
Yeah.
Just because people, they realize the, I guess, how niche of a sport it is, and that people that play the sport also understand the bonds that go into it. Pardon me. The bonds that go into it. And so it's just cool to see guys pouring in just because they're like, oh, you're interested in rugby? Here's a coach from South Africa, a coach from Australia, New Zealand, just all over the world.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I've commented, Swish and I've talked about it during games. You know, during the game, you might play for Tennessee. The other kids might play for Clemson or A&M or whatever, whoever the other school is. But as soon as that game's over, You're just rugby players. You're not playing for those schools, and that's a unique aspect, in my opinion, of rugby, because I've been around a bunch of sports, whether myself playing or kids playing. It's just something that was very unique that I just picked up on with the sport.
Yeah, it's a community as a whole. No matter what jersey you're wearing, it's which I also think it's cool that that's the first thing that people know about rugby is that it is a community because it is very true.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to it for sure, and there's a lot that goes on the field. But the thing that people know is that it is a community, and I think that's a good first.
Yeah. So what is the absolute best part of playing rugby at Tennessee?
Oh man. Seriously, I get chills talking about this right now. Our team is legitimately a family. We have our mottos that were started by Coach Butch Robertson, who founded the club in 1970. He was the first coach, but also a player at the time. Family school rugby. And so you talk about the idea of like, these are your priorities. But now it seems like that rugby and those family aspects have kind of merged together. At the University of Tennessee, the past couple of years, it's been great. We've played some good rugby. We've had some good team moments. This year has felt different. This year has felt special. And I think we are the most like a team, in my opinion. Obviously, this is biased, in the nation. We've got guys that genuinely care about each other, and I think that facilitates success on the field as well.
What's the best tradition you have?
Most of our traditions, Ryan, we don't talk about. However,
That's the best answer.
I will say that I think it's pretty cool that after any game, win, lose, draw, we're shaking hands with the other team, but then we're clapping for all of our fans. We're running around the field, and then we come back in through our tunnel. So I think, again, rugby is one of those sports where it's unique in the fact that this game would not be possible without the people, I guess, like you guys facilitating stuff like this, or the fans, or the program managers. So you want to make sure you're thankful for them as well and displaying that thankfulness.
All right, I got one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Swish.
Part of those traditions, after you ran the SEC championship, running down past the fans, you got to the old boys, the old heads, and I'm pretty sure we saw a couple of torn hamstrings or some ACL tackles. Those guys were bananas. Talk about that moment with those fellas.
Oh, they rock. It was funny because our referee was mic'd up that game, and I remember very vividly the referee said during a scrum, he said, "Don't listen to those guys. They haven't played rugby since 1979."
86.
Yeah, 1986, something like that. But no, that, oh my gosh, our old boys, it's something special. I'm thankful that a lot of them have stuck around in Knoxville. It seems like my year was the first year that we started really taking people from out of state a ton. But so a lot of these guys are local to Knoxville, and if they're not local to Knoxville, a lot of them are traveling back for games. One of the best teammates I've ever had is Luke Mathis. He's up in Chicago working full time right now. His birthday's December 6th, and I had talked to him about if we make it to Knoxville, any chance you come back, he's like, could be a little birthday present. So it's just cool that we have people that they've gone through everything that we're going through. And so they know what it takes, but they also realize that it takes everybody, the players, the coaches, and the alumni. We do an old boys alumni game after our banquet in May every single year. So it just keeps that family together. These guys are happier than some of the players on the team right now.
Well, they were happy to try to give us a beer and a hot dog at about 8.
Yeah, they were.
That they were. Yeah, they're out at the park before we do. They got their tent set up.
Oh yeah, they were definitely making it happen out there. So I got one last one, then turn it over to Swish to ask you some questions. So finish this sentence for me. When I'm not playing rugby, I like to.
Ooh, in California, surf. I'm right after I hop off here, I'm gonna go surf. The waves are pretty nice today, like you had said earlier, Swish. Yeah. But I just like to be involved on campus. I like to meet people. I'm a campus ambassador. I give tours to prospective students and families. We run events. I probably meet about 80 people a week just based off of tours. I'll check people in at the front desk as well. But then I'm also hanging out with my fraternity brothers at the same time. It's just any different group that I can hang out with, whether that be hiking, pickleball, giving tours. I'm all about it.
That's awesome,
We're
man.
not going to ask about the fraternity tradition, so we'll leave that for another time.
We're good. Well, that's for another interview.
Yeah. So, all right. So, thanks. Great answers. Maybe before we get into we're going to put you in the just rucking with you sin bin, the hot seat, and do a
Okay.
lightning round with you. Just talking about, we're all about eyes and ears on rugby here in the U.S. So, if you were to be not an ambassador at UT, but an ambassador for rugby in the U.S., what would be your pitch? How do you get fans that aren't really
Yeah.
ingratiated into rugby? How do we get them excited about it? Because we've got the World Cup coming for men's and women's in 31 and 33, right? So,
Right. No, I think that's a great question. In my opinion, rugby is the most intense thing you've seen in every sport combined. And I think there is a common misconception of, oh, it's similar to American football. In my mind, it's not really. It's more similar to a soccer or basketball, but also mixed with a combat sport like MMA, because there's no set units. It's not offense, defense, special teams. It's everybody's free flowing. You got to be able to tackle, you got to be able to kick. Like everybody on the field has to be able to basically do everything in a circumstance that, I mean, you in if you're in a overtime situation, you're starting to kick for points, you got to have a prop that can kick. So you just got to I think the best way to explain it to somebody who's interested is that an intense free flowing game that will make no sense initially but will be exciting. And then once you start to understand it, then it's even more beautiful.
The thing that we've talked about a lot is when you do take football, for example, the linemen that never get to touch the ball
Right.
outside of just some crazy play where they scoop up a fumble or something
Oh,
like
man.
that. Where in rugby, the forwards touch the ball all game long. They're getting 15 touches a game.
And so first and foremost, if you're listening and you're a right guard or a right tackle or something on the O line or D line and you want to get some action, come on over to rugby, because that's where it's at if you want some action. Yeah, it's especially our style of play at the University of Tennessee. This year we've incorporated a lot of pick and goes, and man, our forwards are doing a lot of the work while the backs are standing back fixing their hair. So like, you'll get a little bit of a mix of both. No, it's
I mean,
yeah.
Big Leo Bonifacio was out against that SEC championship, and Oberhofer jumped right in and scored. Right, you've got Nate Rawls, Aiden O'Connor, Bailey Black had some big games. Those dudes, in football, you miss one block and the quarterback, pretty boy, gets sacked, then they get called out. But in this sport, man, those guys can be heroes.
Well, and every single one of those guys that you just mentioned, guess what their background is? Football and wrestling. Aiden O'Connor, Bailey Black, Jack Oberhofer, Leo. They are all multi-sport athletes that decided, okay, let's get in the action in rugby. And oh my gosh, they have succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, speaking of your forwards, how's Harold Hacker? I know he had a bad hip injury.
Yeah. So he's so first things first, I don't know if this is supposed to be public, but they his ambulance hit a bus on the way to the hospital, which like, dude, I know.
It was like 45 minutes. It was
it was a big delay. I was getting deja vu from my sophomore year against Louisville when there was also an injury. Ambulance came on the field during the quarterfinals. But anyways, Harold's doing well. I checked in with him basically like 2 hours after it happened. He was in the hospital. They had popped his hip back in. They were waiting for CT scans. He had gotten surgery on his hip last year, and so they were nervous that he had messed up the pins or the screws. From what I have heard, it's a lot better than expected. They're able to pop it back in, and I think he should be up and walking pretty soon, which a faster recovery than anybody should have, anybody thought. But
big props to him.
Yeah, I mean, props to him. He's, for lack of better terms, he's a dog. He's the guy that he fought for those A-side minutes. He got in the game, and he made a real impact. So it's a real big bummer seeing him go down like that. It's just a devastating injury.
Yeah, good rally for your boys, though. I do one for...
Right.
Double H.
We have some motivation who are dedicating the season now to.
I got one more question before I give it to you, Swish. So you just mentioned it, guys fighting for that A side. How intense is it for those guys that are maybe in the finisher's role that are trying to get into that that first 23? How intense are those practices when things are going down, when people are on that bubble?
Yeah, I mean, it gets pretty intense. We kind of have a good idea of who is floating around that kind of top 30-ish range right now, but our practices have not slowed down. You think about, okay, we've been practicing since August. We started the season with 3 practices a day during camp week. You could totally think, oh man, we're playing rugby in December. We're gonna get burnt out. No, our B side and our C side, they're showing up to every practice. One of which is because they're still fighting for those spots, but then the others, they realize that they're just as, I guess, as responsible for the success of the team as anybody in that starting 23. And so they're constantly showing up to practices. Incredibly grateful for them. I think that's a culture that we've instilled, I think, since my freshman year, where the season is not done if you're on B side and you don't have any more games. It's done when everybody's done, because if we win a ring, you're just as you're that.
It's awesome. I love it. All right, Swish, it's yours, baby.
All right, so we're gonna go a little lightning round. So
Okay.
my questions might not be as well, like deeply thought out here, but so I got to start first of all. If you're a surfer guy, is it Laguna or Dana Point? Where's your spot?
It's actually in San Clemente, San Diego County, though, San Onofre State Beach. It's where the Beach Boys surfed back in the day, probably when Ryan was born.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it, man. Give this kid a mic and a camera. I love it. All right. All right, real quick. Bottom of the ruck. What's it like?
Dark, terrifying, a lot going on. You're just you don't want to get stepped on, which happens more times than you think. But
All right. Hardest hit you've given or taken? Do you remember?
hardest hit I've taken, I can't say I do remember, but it's not because of the I guess the exact circumstance.
The-
Yeah, let's see. Hardest hit I've ever given, taken. I don't know. I think I had a couple solid ones against Sam Houston my last game, but I also don't think I played my best game. So I don't know. We'll table that. I'll let you know if something comes up of one of the bigger hits.
I can tell you for both Ryan and me, for our boys that play, I can still see white chalk lines on the pitch where guys got just murdered. So
Yeah.
all right, it's good you don't have a big one. What about the cheekiest name you've ever been called, or any good trash talking on the pitch that's worthy of mentioning?
So this is something I'm actually jealous about. The forwards get to have all the fun when it comes to the trash talk and everything, because they're so close to each other. Well, the backs were standing 20 meters apart, or 10 meters, depending on if it's a scrum or a line out. But what I have heard, and I don't know if this is original or anything, I've been chit-chatting with the referee by a ruck, and I've heard an opposition player call one of our players, he would say, "I've eaten burritos bigger than you." That's got to be one of the more creative ones.
Yeah, you always wonder what's going on in those rucks, like those sweet nothings, those whispers that go on between the big fellas.
They're hugging each other.
Yeah, I know, man. All right, Southern Cal. So speaking of burritos, are you a burrito or a taco guy?
That totally depends. I mean, I'm a sucker for a surf and turf burrito, but I'm gonna show my buddy around, Gabe, and get him some street tacos today. Some Al Pastor. Maybe go down
boy.
south a little bit, but
Maybe there's a fish and chips version from his English.
that's my favorite type of
Like,
seafood.
try to fake him out a little bit, right? His mind
Yeah.
may load. He's not gonna know what hit him.
I gave him some like Hawaiian food the other day, which
Yeah,
he enjoyed.
That's nice.
you're gonna ruin him. So you're gonna send him back to England where that food is.
He's gonna be like, man, I need to come back.
All right, best pitch you've ever played on, besides your home turf.
Okay, I will say I love the Tennessee Rugby Park. I think it's clean. I love the Clemson field as well. The area with the houses around it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous of their little rugby house right by the pitch. But in high school, playing in Elkhart, Indiana, those fields were perfect. And I think that's because they get a little bit more rain.
Ryan, do you hear? He said the great state of Indiana.
Well, that makes 2 of you, Swish.
Yeah, as my homelands. Yeah, listen, that the last year at Clemson. Well, first of all, the grass at Clemson is like a 1972, 73 shag carpet. It's brilliant. I mean, you could nap on that. It's great.
It's nice.
The rugby house last year was called the Barn. I think if you lit a
Okay.
match, it would explode. The new one this year is called the Capitol, and it
Okay.
looks directly over the pitch. And there's some nefarious things that go on in that place. I don't know
And
if you want
if you're living there, you can never be late to practice. That's what we were talking
No,
about.
yeah, zero.
Yeah, zero excuses.
All right. All right, so next question, quick one is this is such a setup answer for you because I already know the answer. But best flow or best mustachio on your squad?
I
Give it
know
to
what you
us.
guys want. I know what you guys want. I know who you wanted me to say. I will never compliment another man's mustache, with the exception of Joey Squirlock.
There we go, baby.
Dude, I mean, I've seen him. I actually shared a hotel room with him in Atlanta,
Did you
and
wake up with a mustache? Like all of a sudden, it just grew?
no, but I walked in from breakfast and he was waxing the thing.
Dude, he could walk
Hey.
straight into the set of Tombstone and fit right in. I mean, it was incredible.
I think he does that in his sleep. He's laying there just twirling that thing, just making it.
He's got a solid mustache. I will say, freshman year, I had some words with him. I was like, "Are you really committing to this thing?" And man, he proved me wrong.
Oh yeah, he's deep.
So you're saying that's a 4-year mustache grow out? That's impressive.
Well, I shaved mine today. It was coming in real nicely, but
Now you got to look clean for your mom and pop.
That's right.
All right. Any pregame superstitions that you go through?
see, I used to be a lot more superstitious than I am now. Given that like our coaches were talking about, okay, what jerseys do you want to win, or what jerseys do you want to wear? We've won in these ones. I'm like, any jersey, I'll take it. What we all do as a team together is that I don't ever get anything, but we always go to Bojangles right before the game. It's on the way to our rugby pitch. Some guys are getting those chicken sandwiches, which I don't know if it's the best decision before a game, but it's a fun little tradition. I think they started before we even got there.
You guys do have some nice restrooms at the rugby park.
That's a roll of the dice, man. Some Bojangles before a match.
Yes, it is.
All right. Speaking of food, what about so you guys just win? You win this in a couple Saturdays from now. What's your go-to food joint on campus, and what are you ordering?
A little bit off of campus, right next to the Sutherland Fields, which we'll play on Friday nights. Which this is not sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me, man, I'd be pretty happy. Dead End Barbecue, and I get the Mac Attack. It's pulled pork, mac and cheese, and little crispy onions on sourdough.
Yeah.
It's the place to be.
An order like that for old guys like us, put us in the ground. I'm taking a dirt nap after I eat that.
That's the only reason I'm still playing rugby.
All right, so you finished an illustrious career at Tennessee with Vols Rugby, and the movie is made of Michael McGettigan. By the way, you haven't given us your nickname. You forgot to do that. What do your teammates call you?
Just to
clean.
clear the air on this one,
Yeah.
Brendan O'Neill, he's our 10. If you're familiar with Ben 10, the hit show growing up, there's this superhero Ben 10. I started calling Brendan Bren 10. And then he started calling me Mike 12, but I think he might be the only one on the team to call me Mike 12.
That's cute.
It is. We got our little thing going. But I think this week, a little spoiler, it might be Mike 13. Could be.
So,
The beauty is
like,
it's interchangeable. You can be whatever you want.
when you thought we're getting to know Mike 12, he goes and changes on us.
I was Mike 22 for a bit. I was Mike 20 this week.
All right. So who plays Mike 12-13 picture?
I mean, I'd gotta say, just given off that he's been in a rugby movie, is Matt Damon in Invictus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, I think, I think one, because he knows the game of rugby now. I think he had to learn it a little bit to play in that movie. Two, I think maybe we resemble each other a tiny bit. I think that
I can see that. Totally.
Yep. How you like them apples?
exactly.
Well played, Swisher.
Thank you. I catch a heater every once in a while. It doesn't happen often, but all right. So you mentioned one of your teammates, maybe best teammate when you think about a rugby player, a Tennessee volunteer rugby player. How do you describe that person? Then who personifies that best over the years you've been there?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point in my rugby career, the best teammate you could have is somebody who cares more about the success of the team than individual success. And I honestly think everybody on the team exemplifies that. But there's also been some day ones that have just fought for their spot. My closest friends on the team that I started with freshman year was Joey Squirlock, Aiden O'Connor, and Stone Wilkinson. Stone has graduated. He's now at Texas pursuing a master's degree. But those were guys that were just always there for me. But then you talk about guys that really have stepped up in leadership, like Roman Funkhauser and Brendan O'Neill, who they have like the best rugby IQ I've ever seen. And Roman Funkhauser started playing rugby his senior year of high school, and the amount that he knows about the game and the way that he plays the game it seems like he's been playing since he was a third grader. But then also, like I touched on a little bit earlier, the centers, we're running with a 4-center squad right now. We have me, Nico Zaharis, Gabe O'Reilly, and Will Grant. The fact that we're able to do this and nobody really is bitter about coming off the bench to impact the game. We're basically all playing a half of rugby, which, I mean, with that, the motor is deadly. And so I'm incredibly grateful for those guys. In high school, I played with some of the best rugby players I've ever seen, with the Hannon brothers, Keegan and Asher, with Sammy McMillan, Jacob Bauer, some absolute studs. And then I was also over in Ireland playing rugby last semester and had guys that would just... I didn't do it. I did a lot of traveling, not too many classes. It was traveling in rugby.
We know what you're doing.
Yeah, I had one of my buddy, Tom O'Donnell. He would go out and he'd kick with me as well. Just guys that just love the game that have helped me to get to where I am now.
I think you nailed it though, man. It's something it's all about the name on the front, not the back.
Exactly. I know that was a very long-winded answer to say that, but it's all the guys that have been around care about the game, care about the team, and just want to succeed together.
You can see yourself being one of those old heads jumping up and down in 10, 15, 20 years.
I will be there. Hopefully I'm a little bit better shape than that. Or I'll be 31.
Hey, it goes downhill once you get out of college, kid. I'm just telling you.
What I've heard.
No, you'd be one of those old guys. I got to give a shout out to Cool Beans. I hear that's the joint that the old heads go watch all the rugby matches.
I think we have some are gone, some are still there. I think we currently have 5 alumni working there, rugby alumni. So that definitely is a nice little spot for us post game.
Well, let's hopefully if this sports management degree doesn't pan out for you. I mean, we'll hire you here. We don't pay a lot. Maybe Cool Beans will give you a shot. I don't know.
There we go. I have some options now.
Yeah, you got it, which is great. So this is a pretty canned question here, but when your time's done at Tennessee, what are you going to miss most when you hang the boots up from a rugby perspective?
Yeah. Dang, that's tough, especially because we're definitely coming towards the end. Just a little backstory. To be completely transparent, there was a chance that I wasn't going to play this season. There was a time where I was ready to hang up the boots, and I think I took that back because I realized what I would miss so much. Sammy Anderson called me at the beginning of the season, right after camp, and he basically said, "Hey, you totally could hang up the boots, and that's totally fine because you don't owe anything to the team. You've played your part here. You've played some good rugby. But honestly, do what makes you happy. If you're burnt out, you're burnt out, and that's fine." However, if we look at this right now, and this was in August, he said if we're just counting 2 of the practices a week, Tuesday, Thursdays, those are the ones that are always on the schedule. He said if we're just counting those, you have 22 practices left of your college career.
Wow.
And is that he's basically saying, are you making every one of those count? Which really got to me because you think about what you miss so much when you hang up the boots, that community, that outlet. There's a lot that goes on in life with school, with work, with just real life stuff. That being able to go on a rugby field or going to film on Mondays or practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just a walkthrough on Friday or traveling, being able to have that outlet and be with a community of guys that care about you, guys that understand you, that's definitely what I'll miss the most. And that's not just about Tennessee. I think that's just in the broad aspect of sport as a whole. Once you finally hang those up, that's what becomes a reality. But man, I thank God every day that I think I'm put exactly where I need to be right now. I think that there's so much that had to happen to get to this point, both on this interview, playing in Knoxville on December 6th. I think that everything happens for a reason. I think that right now I'm at exactly where I'm supposed to be in life. I got
to tell you this, man. When we first met you a few weekends back, that was your first game back. It was against Kentucky. No, it was LSU, right? Yeah,
LSU. Yeah.
LSU. The smile on your face said it all, man. You came up to us and started talking, and I looked at Ryan, and after you walked off, I'm like, that kid's got a little twinkle in his eye. Watch out. And just think, had you given that up, those 22 practices, or you wouldn't be sitting here looking at, you were one win away from going to Houston for a national championship, and that's something that you'll never
Yes,
be
sir.
able to say you couldn't have done. So,
Right.
brilliant.
Man,
Brilliant.
it's a special story going on here, and I think
Yeah, man.
I don't even know if you can see the hair standing up. It's
I actually just got some myself, so yeah, I can't see him, and I can feel him. I can
I'm
feel him.
I'm
All right.
just I'm incredibly grateful for everything this sport has given me, and how you guys have facilitated this change in the sport as well.
And we're
Cool.
just a couple old dudes. We're gonna get eyes and ears on it. That you're our first interview to do this for this Ruck Yeah series, so we're super stoked to have you, and it's great to meet you, get to know you a little bit better. So let's finish off with, if you've got one word to describe your experience playing rugby at the University of Tennessee as a volunteer, what would that be?
Part of me wants to say just developmental. I
Hmm.
think both in the rugby sense, like rugby has been great. I've learned so much since being here. But I think personally, I've developed a ton, and I've definitely seen that this year in which I understand when my voice needs to be heard in team huddle and when it doesn't need to be heard. I used to be the guy that wants to talk every single chance I get. I like to hear myself talk. I don't know if you've caught on to that, but I I think that being at the University of Tennessee and just throughout my rugby career, I think I've developed personally just with a different mindset.
That might be one of the best answers of all time. We may not hear a better one. Amazing, awesome, rewarding. Wow, that hit me from left field. That's great. What a
Yeah.
phenomenal answer.
Don't ever
Yeah.
shy away from the gift of gab either.
Well, I was in Ireland. I kissed the Blarney Stone. Now it's in full effect.
Awesome.
Well, brilliant, man. We've really appreciated your time. I know it's Thanksgiving break. You've got other things to do than talk to us. You've got to go take Gabe around and let him eat fish tacos and his head explode. Do you think he can get up on a surfboard, though?
I took him surfing 2 days ago, but we'll be back. We had about 20
Okay.
minutes of surfing before sunset, but
All right, good. Well, listen, I'm let's finish strong here. We're excited to see you in a couple weekends. We're going to be calling the game against I guess it's the national semifinals. Winners punch tickets to Houston. So we're excited to come back and call that match. It'll be on NCR TV, and so Ryan and I are pretty stoked to see you. I think I've got a special. I'm going to legally harbor some cans across state lines for you. So
a little supply drop.
we got that, and only if we can do it together afterwards. So
That's motivating in itself.
yeah, you got that right. So why don't you do this? Let's hit us with a shout out on the way out. Thank you, Michael McGettigan. Man, what a great first interview for us.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys, everybody that's shaped this, everything that's going on, and where we're at right now. But yeah, this has been Michael McGettigan, a center at the University of Tennessee. I play rugby, and I'm just rocking with you.
Beautiful.
Ruck, yeah.
Ruck, yeah.
Cheers.